According to Sensor Tower reports, PUBG Mobile has already zoomed past $9 billion of lifetime revenue in global player spending. But that's not the full picture. Further reports reveal that there's been a 27% decline in global downloads of the game, as well as along with another 27% drop in revenue from 2021. Free Fire's fall has been even steeper. The game was making more than $15 million in weekly revenue around mid-2021, but a year later, the numbers have fallen by more than 78%, hitting the rock bottom in June 2022 at $3.3 million in weekly revenue. But how did we get here, and where are these two heading? With new competitions emerging on the horizon, let's take a look at what Krafton and Garena did well and where they disappointed their massive player base. The biggest success of Free Fire was its mobile exclusivity. Their mobile-first design mentality really influenced the light build of the game, making it easily accessible on low-end devices. Being the first one to release a VR title on such a scale, Free Fire easily penetrated the niche markets such as Southeast Asia and Brazil. At this time, every big publisher out there was caught up in the awe of the rise of PC esports in the West and invested heavily to capture a greater share in competitive gaming. Although mobile was in the picture for many publishers, they were not given much attention and were cast aside by the studio as a side guest, Fortnite Mobile being the perfect example. So, the lack of competition along with huge and untapped mobile user base paved Garena's way to global domination, hitting 1 billion downloads in Play Store in 2021. Now, talking about hitting milestones, we would really appreciate if you guys could hit the subscribe button and help us hit ours. PUBG Mobile came into the picture after more than a quarter, and just like Garena, Krafton was careful in delivering in terms of player experience. Being a very successful PC title itself, then bringing the same experience into mobile, reeled in veteran gamers to try the game on a new platform. The game was able to garner a player base filled with both experienced gamers who wanted a much more polished gameplay experience, as well as casual wanderers who began to grow fond of the competitive elements. However, the PUBG Mobile was not as compatible on low-end devices, but the good thing was the superior graphics, realism and polished look. Just like its counterpart, PUBG Mobile had also crossed the 1 billion mark by March 2021, and this was excluding China, the biggest mobile market in the world. During the pandemic, Free Fire saw the biggest spike in its revenue chart. However, 1/3 of its all revenue was coming from the United States, where only 2% of its player base is localized. Yet, when we set the boundary in Southeast Asia, Garena Free Fire is dancing around the top spots. As the game grew in popularity, competitive events became a part of the ecosystem. Both publishers invested heavily to build their own circuits across various global regions. With that entered international esports organizations like TSM and Nigma Galaxy. By 2020, both Free Fire and PUBG Mobile were going toe-to-toe with each other in terms of viewership, engagement and prize pool. In numbers, the two mobile VR titles soared higher than even decade-old PC titles like CSGO and Dota 2. And in terms of prize money spent till now, PUBG Mobile is helping the throne in mobile games with 4 times more than the lifetime prize money offered by Garena. However, both the games took a massive hit when they were banned in India, which at the time was the biggest mobile region outside of China. Free Fire lost its lion's share of Hindi-speaking audience, while for PUBG Mobile, the greater chunk of views comes from Southeast Asia and the Middle East. But to give credit where it's due, Garena's super marketing understanding and genius monetization structure have driven an overwhelming number of players to commit microtransactions in the game. So, the economy that was built around this title was unlike any other. In a country like Brazil, where the total population is around 210 million, Free Fire recorded a peak daily active users of 28 million. That is more than 1 in the 10 people playing the game. For the Free Fire esports currently, things aren't looking that bright, with an average viewership now down by a disastrous 15 times at the FFWS 2022 Bangkok. Hard to believe that it is the same sport that did what seemed impossible at the time in FFWS 2022. So it is clear that Garena needs to improvise a new course of action before they burn out their remaining assets. South Asia was ground zero for PUBG Mobile, but the publisher has branched out to new region post the game's ban. Krafton has also announced that the next PMGC final is to be held in Turkey along with the PMWI finals in Riyadh. The contribution of their newfound fan base was visible in the numbers, as well as where average viewership was up by 25% and peak viewership increased by 32%. Furthermore, there will be fascinating changes in the esports structure in 2023 with the inclusion of new regions along with a new scoring system to change the entire meta of the game. Both Free Fire and PUBG Mobile are at the top of their own league, catering to their own purposes, so they're never a threat to each other. However, they are indeed a big challenge to other mobile games who are trying to break into the mobile shooter industry, as the bigger player base still treasure their good old classic VR experience and they are not facing an early death as of now. And if you loved our take, give us a big thumbs up. And don't forget to drop a comment below if you want us to cover anything else related to mobile gaming. Until next time, we are going AFK.